New bull run, same old grift with brand new packaging. In 2017, we had ICOs. In 2020, it was the NFTs and the DeFi platforms paying you yield. Some of them are somehow still around pretending to pay you yield. This cycle is no different, and in this cycle, we welcomed the AI tokens, which are completely useless because you could see that every single person is using AI without actually having to purchase a token. And this other thing called real world assets, or RWAs. Now, as you guys know, I have spoken about real world assets in the past. I've debunked it in the past, but I figured, you know what? Haven't talked about this in a few months, and we've got a really interesting story because apparently the OHM token, which is the native token to the Mantra chain, it's supposedly a layer 1, and they're quote unquote going to be tokenizing real world assets. So OHM was to be the base layer token for all of this activity. And unfortunately, OHM speculators ended up finding out what becoming exit liquidity is all about. Anyways, let's dive into this story. Here we go. Head on over to Archimedes Emporium. They make absolutely beautiful Bitcoin branded products. They just dropped their first one. It is the solid aluminum Bitcoin clock. I had to get my hands on it so that I could show it to you guys. Take a look. Really, really nice piece. Beautiful craftsmanship. Head on over to archamp.co. The link is going to be in the show notes. That is Archimedes Emporium. Head on over there. I don't have an actual ad read for this or anything. It just says Tselly Says, fuck you, Greg. Welcome back, everyone. We are going to dive into what has happened with Mantra Chain and specifically the OHM token. So what's interesting is that the OHM token was to be the base token for this real world assets chain called Mantra. So keep in mind, right? This rug pull is about the base. So they never even made the actual real world assets that they were supposed to be tethering on this chain. Okay, we never even got there. The rug pull happened at the base layer. Anyways, let's take a look at some of the utility that this thing had. So, all right, it'd be used for transactions, accessing DeFi services, governance. Of course, we always love governance. Staking, right? Of course, staking. Everybody loves to get free stuff for doing nothing. And lending and borrowing. Okay, so essentially, there is nothing new under the sun. This chain is no different than the 50,000 other chains that have failed before it. Now, for the people who don't think that this was a rug pull, there is some information that does kind of stand in the way of that. It appears that Mantra's OHM token, which includes the Mantra team, they allegedly held 90% of the total supply. And the more digging that we did into this, it seems that Laser Digital, okay, which is essentially the company that started this Mantra chain, they had moved significant amounts of this OHM token to OKX and to Binance. Laser Digital is actually owned by Nomura Group, okay, which is a Japanese investment bank. Some of the major holders of Nomura Holdings include BlackRock. This is actually very reminiscent of the previous cycle where you would see these major players, okay, investing in these kind of smaller digital asset platforms and then essentially go and dump their bags on the market. Now we're taking a look at the OHM chart, and I got to tell you guys, this is really nasty, okay? And honestly, this is what a pump and dump looks like. To me, the thing that is most concerning, right, is that this was a platform that was designed in order to host real world assets. Now, the major investor in this token, okay, was Laser Digital, okay? And they dumped their bags before the real world assets even came into being. So I want you guys to really think about this, right? This is a company, okay, that was supposedly going to tie real world assets, okay, to tokens on the blockchain. And yet, for whatever reason, they determined that dumping their bags at this point was more lucrative than actually attempting to do that work. And of course, Bitcoiners are like, well, yeah, Phil, because it's a scam. Yeah, I know, we know it's a scam, right? But it signals to the market that even the investors themselves, even the institutions themselves, do not believe in these products. Now, the way that I was able to debunk real world assets for myself was quite simply like this. Okay, so right now, when we go and purchase a car or we purchase a home, okay, essentially what happens is that, yeah, indeed, those are quote unquote real world assets. And there's a bunch of paperwork that is tied to it. But the paperwork is legally binding. Now, who enforces this? Right? It's essentially the government. It's the laws, right? We have court systems. We have all of these systems in place. And of course, to make it simple, it's the state that has the monopoly on violence that can enforce these laws. Now, let's take it over to real world assets, okay? So let's say I create a real world asset out of my house, okay? And I go and decide to sell that token, that real world asset token, to somebody else, okay? Now I sell it to them for $500,000. Do they actually own my home if there is no participant that can enforce violence? I'm going to say no. I am going to say that they don't own anything. I'm going to say that the only thing they can claim ownership to, okay, is that particular token. That's it. That's the difference. The blockchain is never going to enforce ownership of my house. Think about it. I can then go and I can legally put my house up for sale and I can sell it. What is the person holding the token going to do? What are they supposed to do? The state doesn't even recognize this. So you will not have any state-backed violence behind any of this. There is no actual link, no real link, and no way to enforce ownership of these real world assets on the blockchain. So this stuff is pure speculative garbage. And Ohm is just another example of these failed ideas that companies are attempting in order to try to monetize this type of technology without providing any actual value. Anyways, guys, that's all I wanted to talk about today. Real world assets, totally not a surprise. Obviously, they're a grift. I've done a couple of clips on this before, and I will continue to expose these terrible projects. That's going to do it for us today, guys. Catch you on the next one. Peace.